Hello.
Hi.
I am Tatev here with Layne Garrett, and we're sitting outside Rhizome DC's Tacoma Park location, and it's June in 2021. Excuse the construction noises as we're outside due to pandemic, and there is also. Can I restart? I'm saying too much. Sorry.
It's okay, just keep going.
Okay.
You can edit it.
Okay.
And be careful with your mic, don't touch it.
Okay. There's also construction next door, which is in line with the times and our topic that we're going to explore. Next construction will be here at Rhizome, so until then we're here to preserve some stories. So I'm honored to talk with Layne today and learn about your story, where you come from, how you came here, and where we're all headed, basically. In the spirit of embracing the beauty and humanity of our memory, oral history helps situate the narrator and how they remember and make sense of the world at the center of our discussion. So we're gonna start at the beginning.
All right.
Yeah? Okay. Layne, can we start with you telling me a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and a little bit about who you are?
Okay. That's. I come from Tennessee. I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I spent the first 18 years of my life there. What should I tell you about my young life? I grew up in a family of 5. I have 2 younger brothers, mom and a dad, and yeah, both my parents are from East Texas, and they moved to Tennessee a few years before I was born. They were young. They married at 19 and 20. I was born when they were 25 and 26, which blows my mind as the father of my child was born when I was 35, 36. Anyway, I don't know. What should I talk about?
Let's. How about you describe a typical day in your childhood?
Okay.
Tell me what you and your brothers were up to.
So I guess what did I do as a kid? I was pretty into school. Or at least into, sort of. Let me start over.
Take your time.
Yeah. One thing about my childhood is that I don't have a lot. Like, my memories are really scattered and dispersed, and a lot of them very vague. But my childhood, I think, was kind of boring, or like, it was pretty stable and settled. My family drove to Texas twice a year to see my grandparents and cousins and everyone.
How was that? You drove from Tennessee to Texas?
Yeah.
How
occasionally
was that
we
drive?
would.
Tell me about that drive.
Occasionally we would fly, but it was, it's like often we would drive actually on Christmas Day, like wake up and it was like 12-hour drive. I don't really remember like how it went.
How is it being in a car with three boys
I don't
and
know.
the parents in
I
a
don't
12-hour
remember.
drive?
I don't remember too much other than that.
Okay.
I was always I always wanted to be in charge of the music.
You always wanted to be in charge of the music.
Yeah.
What did you want to listen
You know,
to?
because I think I'm a sort of typical firstborn, like whatever I liked was like the good stuff, you know.
Relatable.
Yeah. I don't know. I was I played a lot of sports. Like my dad used to play baseball with us a lot in the backyard, and he was involved in like starting a soccer league in my town. So played soccer all growing up, and like sort of in high school, sort of like started. You know, wondering if that was really what I wanted to be doing, and but yeah, my childhood, I grew up in the suburbs. There was nothing really going on. Quiet, very quiet neighborhood. Yeah.
Do you remember what you were what kind of subject you were interested in school?
I mean, I was good at math, and or it sort of came easily to me, but I don't know if I wasn't, passionate about it, or I did in high school. I think there were some books. I think there were some literature became interesting to me, and like opened up some new worlds of possibilities that I hadn't really imagined before in my kind of sheltered upbringing to that point. Yeah.
Can you recall a particular book that spoke to you?
It's just so cliched.
Go on. Give me the cliche.
The Catcher in the Rye was like a yeah, I can't recall any details really about like what I thought about it, or I guess just like this idea of someone kind of breaking out of conformity or whatever,
Were you the rebellious kid of your family?
I was very much like rule follower.
Before Catcher in the Rye.
Before Catcher in the Rye. I mean, I think in high school, and like, yeah, I grew up going to church. So in like middle school, I started going to the church youth group, and it was, like very wholesome sort of. I don't know. At some point, yeah, I guess I don't know what, like some ideas from places like books. Yes, just started to get in my head, and but yeah, I was very much a like rule follower, and like with school, I really it wasn't. I was always really conscientious about doing my work, but it wasn't because I like loved it, or it was to please someone, or because it was what I was supposed to do.
Can you trace where that kind of work ethic comes from?
I don't know really, except that I don't know. You know, going into the sort of realm of therapy or something, you know, I can speculate about, you know, maternal disapproval or something like whatever, sort of metastasizing into like a perfectionism or something like that. But
so were you this kind of a perfectionist kid all throughout your while you were in school, or was there a time that these books changed the ways of Layne?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess later on in high school, I sort of started pushing back against the whatever sort of box I was in.
How are you doing that?
You know, the typical ways of like drugs and alcohol and I don't know that.
Did you get involved in the arts while you were in school, or did that come later?
So I guess I've been interested in music for as long as I can remember. And my dad, well, I grew up, here comes the the workout music. My dad, well, I took piano lessons from, I don't know, kindergarten or something, for like, oh my gosh. Is that gonna be okay?
You're still like the dominant voice.
Okay.
Like your audio is still stronger than everything else.
Layne, do you want to say something about what is going on?
Yeah.
Just
acknowledge it.
Yeah, just
We don't have
acknowledge.
any other-
It's okay. It's Rhizome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a workout. Because of the pandemic, everything's happening outside, so there's a workout situation going on next door.
Yeah.
Some stationary bikes and some loud music. So.
We are going to continue and persevere.
All right, we'll
talk
persevere.
Let's go back to you and music in high school.
Yeah. So my dad played in a band in high school, and like, you know, basic rock and roll stuff. He taught me some chords on the guitar in like middle school, and then mostly I taught myself to play the guitar, just like playing along with songs I liked and figuring them out, and yeah. All right, I'm gonna try not to get distracted by that. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I don't know what to do.
Do you want the noise cancelling headphones for yourself, or no?
I mean,
then you can't hear me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's
All right,
be here.
should we just try to keep going? Okay.
Let's do it. It's okay. We're in a disco, but we're having a very
All
deep
right,
conversation. Let's go. Let's go
we're in.
into it.
All right.
I'm listening to you, so.
Yeah, I guess in high school I started getting into like into Sonic Youth, which I think they were like a influential, really influential for me musically on the guitar, especially because I and Michael Hedges. I don't know if you're familiar, but he was sort of like a borderline new age kind of guitar player, but both him and Sonic Youth just played with open tune or like open and alternate tunings, and that really opened a lot of doors for me in terms of my own personal music. Just trying, detuning the guitar and experimenting with it in these new tunings. That kind of like felt like a avenue into, potentially sort of unexplored, I don't know, into like just being able to do things that other people, the range of tunings that you could come up with is pretty much infinite. So there's just a lot of possibility to explore there.
Were you composing also, or?
Yeah, I was definitely composing. So I was in a band in my senior year in high school. I was in a band, like rock band,
What was it called?
It was called $1 a Handful.
All right. Tell me about that band.
It was me and some guys from school. To quote Bryan Adams.
Cool.
And yeah, we started out, playing covers and like playing some like parties and dances and stuff. And then there was one guy who was like the singer front man, but then he left, and then at that point we started like writing our own stuff, and I was writing most of it. And
What kind of music were you guys writing?
it was like grunge rock.
Did you perform?
Yes, only a couple times though. It was like at the end of high school, and then everybody went their separate ways. But it was my dad. I think for Christmas, like gave me some studio time at a like kind of crappy local recording studio, and so we went in and like recorded a cassette.
Is your dad a musician?
He no, he played in a band in high school, and he'll mess around on the guitar every once in a while. But
sounds like he was encouraging you.
He was
along
really
with
supportive.
it.
And continues to be supportive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I was writing songs, and what else? Let's see. Should I? I mean, I guess my own personal musical evolution has led up to this moment, right, right here. Like in college, I played with friends some, and but it wasn't a huge focus for me. But after I graduated from college, I spent 4 years in Phoenix, like teaching, and not really knowing anybody a lot. And
What were you teaching?
I was teaching 8th grade math.
Oh.
Yeah. A whole other.
Did you go to college for math?
A whole other chapter of my life. No, I went to like a liberal arts school. I majored in religion or religious studies, but I took some math in college, and like got a job at a private school where I don't know. You don't have to have like a at a lot of private schools, you don't have to have a teaching credential or like an education background. So I got this. I guess I was sort of. I think I went into college kind of assuming that I would teach afterwards, and I got this random job, moved to this random place where I didn't know anyone, and Phoenix is a very weird. I don't really know what it's like now, but like it was not. It wasn't a very social time for me, and sorry, insect collision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I look back and really value all the solitude that I had in those years, and like it was a very productive time for me creatively. I spent a lot of time just working on music on my own.
What kind of music were you making then?
I was mostly, I was composing a lot, just for myself, just on guitar. Yeah, and yeah, just like continuing to play around with different tunings on the guitar, and also at that point so I make sound sculptures and instruments, and that's I was trying to think about that this morning, actually, sort of where that impulse came from.
Yeah.
And like the farthest I can trace it back to is this box of metal that I found on the street in Phoenix. Like my next door neighbor had put out a box of scrap metal, and I grabbed it and like made some wind chimes out of these random metal parts, and I gave them to some friends for their wedding, and I'm sure they were like, what the fuck is this, you know?
That's on them.
Right. But I don't know, ever since then I've sort of like had this I don't know what I was trying to think about kind of what it was that like allowed me to see this box of trash, like to see the potential in it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't really know, but it sort of like started me down this path of sort of like building instruments out of like just walking around and biking around and like picking stuff up off the sidewalk, you know?
Okay, tell me more. I don't know really a lot about your instrument building. I've seen a few things, but tell me how it's evolved over the years.
Yeah, I guess from wind chimes, which I'll still make occasionally. Yeah, at some point after I moved to DC, which I moved here after Phoenix, so you know, almost 20 years ago.
Wow. We'll go into
or
that.
no, yeah.
We'll go into that with detail.
Early
in a little
2000s,
bit.
2003 or something. I moved here.
Yeah.
I started finding just like chunks of car metal on the ground and picking them up. Just, I don't know, pieces that have fallen off of the bottom of people's cars, and they're all sort of unique shapes, and many of them have been run over and flattened, and yeah, I don't know, they just have this sculptural quality to them. I started collecting them. I made and they also have like many of them have like resonant tonality to them. So if you suspend them from a string, it's basically like a gong. so I made this playable map of the United States out of car metal,
Wow.
which like all strung together with fishing lines. So it's like each piece is separated from all the other pieces, so they all ring out if you hit them.
How did the United States sound like?
I mean, I don't know. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's metallic. The resonance. None of them like ring out like a super long time, but they all. The ones I chose at least have like a little bit of sustain. So, you know, I guess the closest analog sonically that I can come up with is maybe like Southeast Asian gong, like tuned gong percussion. But the tuning is random, and you know, I don't try to tune them. I just go with whatever like pitch they have.
Does it sound about like this music?
Yeah, it sounds like this. Yeah.
And the construction noise combined?
Yeah. So. That was like, I think that was the first sort of like big kind of musical construction project I did, and then I had a roommate around the same time who was in art school and like really into building these like kind of precarious structures, and we built this thing together. There was like this big freestanding thing in the backyard with just like glass and metal and wood all hanging off in different configurations, and you know, another friend and I like we hauled it down and like gave a performance on it. I built, at some point I got into like combining gongs and wires together, and like so like striking a gong and then like the sound travels through a wire, and then using a styrofoam box to resonate that sound. I made a large instrument using that setup off the roof of Pyramid Atlantic, which is it used to be, now it's in Hyattsville. It used to be in downtown Silver Spring, and Sonic Circuits used to do shows there, and so one year for the Sonic Circuits Festival, they let me up on the roof, and I strung these wires from the roof down to the parking lot. Yeah, this very large instrument. Yeah, all with like just found stuff.
Is there, do you want to say something about why you're using found stuff in particular?
I think part of it is like this feeling of finding something that's been discarded, but that somehow it feels to me like it still has potential in it. And along similar lines, I guess, like there's sort of like a I don't know, it's related to like the sort of ecological crisis that we're in the middle of, in terms of, you know, yeah, just like I think in my life in general, I have tried to like I don't know what, you know, reuse things that can be reused, or like before I had a kid and could stay up late at night, you know, I ate a lot of food out of Trader Joe's dumpsters, and I guess it kind of feels like in line with that kind of spirit, or yeah.
Would you go dumpster diving on your own or with people?
Usually with people, yeah.
Was that a group that you had established relationship, or is you met with this as being your like common ground?
No, it was friends I had that sort of introduced me to the art of dumpster diving. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. And that was ongoing for a while for you?
Yeah.
That's cool. Tell me some stuff about it. Tell me how those raids went at night. Because you have to wait until the store is closed, right?
Yeah, we would go at like midnight or whatever, and occasionally a manager came out or the cops came, and like we had to flee or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's been a while since I've been, but sometimes you would go and there would be like 2 full garbage bags full of like beautiful red peppers or something, or like half a cow's worth of meat or some, just like amazing quantities of
absolutely fine produce.
Yeah. One time I went with my roommate and there was like a whole dumpster full of flowers, and she brought them and like put them on people's cars up and down the block, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, but
and you said that stopped with when your daughter Noella came into the picture?
Yeah, it's just hard to I mean, I guess I could theoretically pick it back up again now, but it's hard to stay up late enough to do that anymore. Yeah.
How is if you feel like talking about Noella, we don't have to. How are her sensibilities about this kind of? Because I think your whole spirit is a lot of like experimentation and reusing, and then which I absolutely can relate to. And do you feel like there's this kind of sensibilities building up in her as well? Tell me a little bit about her as a person, actually. I know she's snarky and very creative, but tell me more.
She is creative. She's 9. She's
9 now?
She's 9.
Oh my God.
Actually, I was just the other day we had this. Somebody wanted to install a massive dress that was attached to the front of the house, and I helped with that, and so it was like attached to the roof over the porch and then like draped down to the ground. So I was thinking about that project I did with the instrument, and I was telling the artist about it, and she said, "Oh, send me a photo or whatever." And I couldn't find a photo, but somebody made a short video documentary about that project, and so I sent it, and I watched it because I hadn't seen it in a while, and she's in it Novella's in it at the end, and she was like 2 maybe, and there's footage of her like playing these wires with a bow, and
so she's been
just
an
like
experimental musician since she's 2.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very, I think definitely from birth, she's been exposed to like a really wide range of music, and also just performance kind of scenarios. So she's very open-minded in terms of what she accepts as like music or performance. I think now, as she gets older, she can't. I think for a while it was like there wasn't. She didn't really have any distinction in her mind between like a pop song on the radio and like Javanese gamelan and like some crazy thing that, you know, in some basement somewhere. Now obviously like she can see the differences, but also she's really open still, and
Is she making things herself?
she makes things herself. We've actually been exploring some like sound making circuits together recently.
Wow.
And she's been really into that. You know, and like the sounds that those make are like either harsh or like, you know, especially with something that's really simple, like it doesn't sound very musical, but she's excited to hear whatever it sounds like. Yeah. And we got a piano recently, and she's when she sits down at the piano, she'll just play in like a pretty intuitive kind of way. Yeah. She's really into singing. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Anything?
I don't know. It's interesting. Like, she doesn't go to school. She's homeschooled / unschooled. And
Tell me more about that.
well, I think, you know, it's like,
What is your take on that in general?
well, I think part of it is a reaction to my own childhood and like looking back and realizing how sort of how much I was doing things just to make other people happy, or like just because I was that's what I was supposed to be doing, and like not wanting to create an environment for her that was more open, and like to like allow her to I guess I feel like I grew up and like I grew up without ever, I don't know, my sense of like who I was, or was just I don't know. What am I trying to say?
Take your time.
Yeah, I guess I just have been I don't know, as much as I get, you know, her mom and me both have a work situation that's like flexible enough that allows us to homeschool her like together. You know, I mean,
Together separately.
together separately. And yeah, I don't know. I feel she has like a sort of initiative that kind of like seems to come from within her that really I don't think I ever had as a kid, that I think has arisen from like the freedom that she's had to just have time to explore things kind of on her own terms
Have you
rather
talked
than
to
on
her
someone else's
about,
terms
like,
all the
this-
time.
Have you talked to her about like this concept in general now that she's sort of an adult and
All right, she's not sort of an adult.
she's 9. She knows everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe not explicitly. Yeah.
Cool. Let's. Thanks for sharing the Noella stuff. I think it all makes sense, really, with all the other inspirations and stories you're telling me. But let's talk a little bit about DC. Go back to when you came here. You said about 20 years ago.
It's 17 or 18 years ago, I guess. Yeah.
Do you remember what your first impressions of DC were when you first came here? Like, what did you and how did you move here? Did you move here alone? Did you move here with your family? How? Like, tell me a little bit about the beginning days.
Well, so yeah, I'd been in Phoenix for 4 years. I moved out of Phoenix, or like I packed up all my stuff and put it in storage, and I didn't know. I went to Europe for the summer, and I didn't have a plan. I came here my brother was living here in Columbia Heights. He had just graduated from college. He was living in a group house with like 7 other people.
Oh my God.
And I ended up moving into that house. And yeah, there were 2 people sharing the master bedroom already. It was like a very big master bedroom, and I moved into that there was like a nook by the window, like kind of the size of this porch probably. And I had a 3-legged table, and I had a mat on the floor under the table, and that was my room for like a year, I think.
How did you feel about the city itself? You were in Columbia Heights, you said.
I was in Columbia Heights.
What was Columbia
it was
Heights
a
like
lot.
then?
It was a lot different than it is now. The whole that whole DC USA shopping center wasn't there. There was like a lot of just empty lots and open space. Very different vibe. I don't know what. It took me a while to like. I guess I would go to Malcolm X Park a lot. Yeah, I
What would you do in
well, I went to that drum circle a lot actually.
It was going on?
It was going. Yeah, it was going on then.
going on.
Yeah.
Did you partake in a drum circle yourself?
No, maybe once, but no, not really. I just wanted to listen. I had like done some drumming in Phoenix actually. I like yeah. Anyway.
No, tell me your thoughts.
No, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. I think it took me a while to really get into being here. Or I hung out with all the people I lived with a lot, and yeah. Eventually, I don't know. I was trying to think of, because before I moved here, experimental music was not really in. I don't know. I wasn't in that world at all. But pretty soon after I moved here, I started. I don't know how. I can't remember how I ended up finding shows and stuff, but there was a few things going on. There was this Electric Possible series that was happening once a month at GW, like in some basement classroom in at GW, and I saw. I think that I don't know. An early show that I saw that was pretty influential was this show, a Sonic Circuit show at, I think it was at Flashpoint Gallery downtown, which I don't even know if that is still there. They had like a black box and
Sorry, maybe we can just move you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. No. It's too much. Oh!
Sorry.
It's okay. Hold on. Stop.
Is that good?
Yeah.
You be careful, yeah? I fall, it's okay. You don't fall. That's good? Yeah.
yeah, I saw it was Tatsuya Nakatani and
Oh, yes.
Toshi Makahara, like drum duo. That was just kind of blew my mind.
Tatsuya
and-
Nakatani was one of my introduction to this stuff.
Oh, yeah?
actually, At Union Arts. It was him and a few others that I was like, where the fuck was this my entire life?
Mhm. Yeah, I think he's gone on musical hiatus or something, which is sad to hear. But anyway,
Understand.
there was also the same night. This guy Jonathan Mattis. I can't remember if he was playing by himself or with a band, but he was doing all this prepared guitar stuff, which I think was the first time I had seen that. And after that, I really started like playing around with that, with putting stuff into my guitar, like in this on the strings and stuff.
What stuff?
Metal, like weaving metal rods through the strings, like clipping clips to the strings. Yeah, I mean now like I use rubber bands, or like playing with a bow, playing like with mallets or sticks. Yeah, just like using the guitar, basically like, I think, I mean, my approach now is just to like use it in whatever way, it can be used. Sort of like on an electric guitar, like playing, there's electromagnetic pickups, and like actually playing the pickup with metal, or like, just like exploring all of the possibilities.
Yeah.
So that was a
something that
big-
DC brought to you.
big show.
Yeah.
And like there were 611 Florida was this house where a lot of shows happened, Scott Verastro's house, and it was like kind of the worst like floor plan you could imagine for having a show.
Why?
Like the band would be in the dining room, which was tiny, and then the audience would be in the living room, which wasn't huge, So, and then more, if it was crowded, like more audience would be in the hall and the kitchen. But, most of the people at the show couldn't see anything, or could like just like have a weird angle of like a little sight line or something, like no one could see.
Was it more about the sound?
The sound and like just the experience.
Yeah.
And Scott brought a lot of amazing music through there. And
Who is Scott?
Scott Verastro, he lives in Philly now, but he booked a lot of experimental stuff in DC for a long time. At his house and at the Velvet Lounge and at the warehouse next door.
Next to Velvet Lounge?
The warehouse was down like on 9th Street, like south of the convention center, and then there was a place, the warehouse next door. I don't know, it was this whole complex, warehouse next door.
And there are all sorts of experimental shows happening at these 3 venues you're talking about?
Yeah.
Can you
I
tell me a
remember
little
once
bit-
at 611 Florida, like I was actually in the dining room with the band, and this amazing bass player, Vittel Cherry, I was like sitting on the floor and he was like right here, and he was almost hitting me in the head with his bow. It was like really
Tight
right
quarters.
there, but I don't know, I love that kind of just unmediated experience.
And when was this? This was when you first moved here.
Yeah, I mean, this was like, 2000. I can't remember when he moved out of that house. 2004 to like 2008 or something. I don't know. Something in there. And like I guess I. I don't know. Should I just keep talking? You want to
Keep talking.
Okay. I think it was 2005, I booked my first show, which was Jack Wright, who's I don't know if you're familiar, but he's a sort of free music elder. He lives in Philly, and I had seen him at the Electric Possible and like was really inspired. And I invited him down to, it was like September. I wanted to organize like a Hurricane Katrina kind of protest / benefit show, and I invited him down, and it was at this place, Cafe Mawanage, which was it was like off of Florida and 5th or 6th or something. It was on a Monday night, like I didn't know how to, I didn't know anything, I was like, oh, I'm going to put this show on, and like, I'm going to hand out some flyers, and everyone's going to come, and like, no one can, like my friends came, and like, 2 other random people or something came, and Jack was like really, nice and kind and supportive, and was like, he was like grateful for the opportunity and to like process his feelings about the situation with Katrina, and like told us all after, like from the stage after he played, like he had been associated with this lowercase music, which is like just super minimal, quiet, lots of silence, lots of small sounds, but he was like, for the first time in years tonight, I just like wanted to really like blow hard into the saxophone and like played this more kind of like cathartic set. I don't know, so that was like it was inspiring to have him be so like gracious about the situation and like give all of himself to this like show that this guy just put together, not knowing how to book a show. You know?
This was in 2004.
2000. When was I think 2005 was Katrina, right? Or 2006?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I lived in Russia.
5 or 6, I think. But then I started like booking.
Were you playing at this time?
I was
yourself?
playing, yeah.
Okay. And so you started booking shows, and
Yeah, I booked a show at a house I lived in. I started booking a few shows at a house I lived in, and then I moved. I moved in 2008, I think. I moved into this house on Buchanan Street in 14th. One of my roommates was this guy, Britton Powell, and he had been booking shows like at his place. I don't know. He was really gung-ho about doing house shows, and so it became the Lighthouse. We had a ton of shows there, and we had a perfect basement for it, some great stuff happened there.
How did the word about these performances get out? Can you tell me, like, as far as this is a very specific like community in DC that I think once you get to know, at least in my experience, you really get to know it pretty well. But how do you feel like the most of DC experience, like how do you experience DC differently, if you can tell a little bit about like this community and how the rest of the folks, whether or not they are aware of this music, how is the word spread?
It's a good question that I am still trying to figure out the answer to. Because then and now, you know, we would have a show and like the house would just be like packed with people, and I don't know, where do they some people just have this or some there's sort of like a hip factor that accompanies some performers, I guess, and so if they're involved, people come out for like the the social aspects of it, and then there's other stuff that's like musically amazing, but no one cares about it because it's not cool or whatever. And yeah, I think I think people just I guess I don't really understand like those dynamics, except to say that I don't know. They are what they are, and it's hard to know how to like make them, how to shift them, or like how to if something isn't already like have this kind of built-in thing to it, like you're not going to convince anyone to care about it. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's go back and like maybe like slowly make our way from this time. So this was the show. What was next? How did Tell me about the slow journey of this experimental stuff leading up to Rhizome.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of from a like organizing side, yeah, the Lighthouse was the first time I was involved in booking a lot of shows, and then after
The Lighthouse was the basement.
the basement on Buchanan Street. Yeah.
Buchanan.
Hmm.
Okay. What part of town is that in?
It's up
Oh, I
like
can.
14th Street Heights, I guess 16. Yeah. Let's see. And then I lived in another house like a block away, where it wasn't as much of a show house, but I booked like, I lived there 3 years maybe, and I booked probably 24 shows there or something. And then my bandmate Amanda moved into this co-op apartment building at 14th and Kennedy, and she found out that there used to be like a community theater that was active there was like a huge open, community room in the basement of this building. And I guess there had been a community theater active there in the 70s called the Back Alley Theater. And she was like, hey, let's get it going again. So we started booking shows down there.
And you were able to get access to it pretty easily?
Yeah, because she lived there. She had some pushback from some neighbors sometimes, but
because this music can get loud.
yeah, but yeah, we managed to do stuff there until she moved out. So it was going for a couple years.
What years was this about?
I don't know, or 2012 to 14. That's a guess. Yeah, something like that. Or yeah, no, it went right up to the start of Rhizome, so it must have been a little bit later, 2014 to 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was at the Lighthouse for like 2008-9, and then I was at this other house, Crittenden, like 2010 to 12. Oh, then I moved out to Tacoma Park, and I booked some shows in I don't know. I've just been doing shows at wherever I've lived until Rhizome, I guess. But the Back Alley Theater was cool. It was like a pretty big space. We had the Tatsuya the Nakatani Gong Orchestra, which is this, like he travels around with these gongs, and then so I organized like 9 people to play the gongs, and then you rehearse with him one afternoon and then do the performance that night. So that was
and those
cool
9
and
people
packed.
haven't played together before.
Yeah, right.
So in that one afternoon, they kind of are able to.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. He just like teaches you some cues and like kind of lays out the structure of how the piece is going to go. Yeah, so it's it's like just bowing the gong and
And doing that.
doing a roll or a hit. Yeah, and then I guess another kind of thread is like setting up shows in other spaces or other events, which Amanda and I have done that a handful of times. Like last summer, we had this pandemic show in Rock Creek Park, just in a field, and we had another show in like a drainage ditch, yeah, down another part of Rock Creek Park. I facilitated an event. I don't know if you've ever been to the Capitol ruins.
No.
Up in the Rock Creek Park near the horse stables, there's this, in like 1950-ish, the Capitol facade was redone, and they took all of the marble and they stacked it up in Rock Creek Park in this one area, and it's like these weird, you should definitely go check it out, these weird formation, it's like lined up in these formations, and it creates this kind of strange magical space, and I don't remember how it,
Sonically?
not sonically, not really, just like visually,
Okay.
and because yeah, the stacks of marble are like 10 feet tall, so it's kind of like like, and then you can walk between them, and there's also all these weird, like there's a higher area that has all these weird like 8-foot deep like wells, that nobody really knows what they're for, but so it's just this kind of mysterious environment, and I was going there a lot and just like trying to figure out how to, what could happen there, and I came up with this project to I got all these 30-second cassette loops and handed them out to whoever would take one, with some like, I think I had written like a quasi poem, kind of like about the space, and I asked people to like make a recording on the tape loop that was like kind of inspired by the poem that I had written, and then I asked people to come with like a portable tape player on some Saturday afternoon, and then like everyone just placed their tape players all around the space, and probably like 40 people made
Wow.
tapes, and so then it turned it into this like crazy sonic environment, where you could wander through and like hear all these tapes, all these recordings playing, depending, and they're 30-second loops, so it just
Repeat.
plays over and over. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's when I look back at my sort of artistic life, that's a thing I'm proud of.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess. But should I start talking about Rhizome here? That's kind of next after
Sure.
Back Alley. Like, I guess. Yeah. In like
How
2000.
did you come here? What
Yeah.
brought you here?
So I and 5 other people started Rhizome.
Who are these 5 people?
The 5 people are Steve and Tom and Leslie and Ann and Dennis and me. They all homeschooled their kids together. I met Steve because we both did this synthesizer workshop in Baltimore, and he gave me a ride. Up there, and I don't think we'd ever met before then, but like somebody connected us because I needed a ride. And we started talking, and that led to me teaching like a set of workshops for their kids, their homeschoolers, about circuitry, like just building sound making circuits. And that was, God, I don't even know when that was. At least 10 years ago. Maybe, I don't know. Time.
A while, yeah.
Maybe not 10 years. Anyway, maybe early 20-teens. And yeah, I don't know. I did that, and then at some point, Steve reached back out and was like, "Hey, we're thinking about like this idea for a space. Do you wanna talk?" And so the six of us met a couple times, and then there would be like energy and excitement, but then after the meeting, nothing. It would just kind of dwindle. But then, I don't know, we did eventually, like, I think come out of a meeting with enough of a plan to, act on it.
How did you find this house?
And so I wasn't really involved a whole lot in looking for the spaces. People were looking around in Tacoma, and so they all live in like Tacoma Park, Silver Spring, and so we were, specifically looking in this area.
Were you specifically looking, do you know, for a place in DC proper?
No.
Okay.
We definitely were looking. We looked at some spots in Silver Spring. But yeah, somebody found this house, and it seemed kind of perfect. And
what did it look like first? Do you remember?
I mean, from the outside, it looked the same. It was a hair salon. Most recent, it had been empty for a couple of years, but before that, it was a hair salon. So there was like, remnants of, chair, the chair, the thing that goes over your head,
Where did
the
those
dryer. One of them is still around somewhere. I don't know. And like linoleum on the floor, and so a lot of work happened to like get the glue off the floor.
Yeah.
And just it wasn't in like structurally it's fine. It wasn't in terrible shape, but it also wasn't, like, a decent amount of work had to happen.
Yeah.
But I didn't do a lot of it. But yeah, that was like late 2015, and we had our first event in January of 2016.
Do you remember that first event?
I wasn't here. It was an event. It was specifically for people of African descent. It was like this Afrofuturist kind of workshop.
Workshop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like, it was called Ayapo Repository. I don't know, it was...
Could you repeat the first word again?
Ayapo,
Ayapo.
I think. I would have to look
That's okay.
to see exactly what it
So
entailed.
what is the first event you do remember?
The first event, I think the next event we had was a performance, which was some improvising musicians and dancers. Pony Moon. S- so yeah, it was like improvised music and dance, and then the other act was Captain Phillips, which was this David Grohlman and sax, who's a percussionist, and Sam Weinberg, I think, a sax player, doing like this intense percussion sax improv plus sort of lewd joking commentary. I don't know. And it was pretty like I remember people played in different areas of the house, and it was there was a nice crowd, and
Do you know what was the crowd? Was it like Tacoma Park locals, or was it the
I don't even
experimental
remember.
people? Do you remember just in general when it first started, like who used to come around?
I think people in the experimental community were definitely coming around. Yeah, because union arts. We should talk about union arts too. Union arts just had closed.
How are you
like
involved
right.
in union arts?
I played a bunch of shows there. So Luke Stewart organized a lot of shows there and had a studio space there, and we also had a group of improvisers that would play there pretty regularly. So I was involved with that group. Yeah, for a while we were meeting weekly, and then less regularly. But so yeah, I hung out there a lot, and maybe I set up a show or two there, but not.
So
But
that
then
community somehow merged.
Union Arts closed right around the same time that Rhizome was opening.
What was the reason there for closing?
That a luxury hotel was to be constructed.
Oh wow, luxury, not even low income.
Yeah, no, it was a the story is not pretty. It's like this. It was supposed to be this arts hotel with like it's like sort of part of the pull was that there were working artists like nearby that you could go and look at or something. So there was this, this arts advocacy organization that was involved in the planning and of the hotel and everything. Meanwhile, many more artists were displaced from their studio spaces that were in the building there.
Do you know what arts advocacy organization that was? Like, do you know who we need to kill?
Yeah. I think it was Cultural DC, but if I'm wrong, then no. Yeah, it was them.
Okay. So you're saying that community kind of merged into.
Well, so yeah, I mean,
time?
that definitely created kind of a vacuum in terms of places to have experimental music happening. So it was kind of like the vision for behind Rhizome. Wasn't even necessarily music focused.
What was it focused? More workshops?
Yeah, like a non-commercial arts and education space. Like I think people envisioned a lot more. I mean, we do educational programming is a huge part of what happens here, but I think that was more. The vision was initially kind of more in that direction and more like. But also, I think the vision was open-ended enough that, you know, it's not, I don't think experimental music isn't like contrary to the vision. It just, that wasn't like explicitly part of the vision, if that makes sense.
So how do you think that kind of came to be such a big part of Rhizome?
I think part of it is that this kind of vacuum open happened because of Union Arts closing, and so it was just like a natural, here's a space that's open to this stuff happening.
Yeah. Cool. Were there a lot of other places like this in DC, or is Rhizome one of the few?
I don't know of another place quite like this in DC.
In what sense?
Well, I mean, I don't know, with the pandemic, it's hard to like, it's
We
hard
can talk
to,
pre-pandemic. Let's
yeah,
talk pre-pandemic.
okay. I mean, I get like the number of in terms of experimental music, like the places that it happens are just not many. You know, I don't know. There's occasionally still house shows, but I think the house show scene in DC has become much more like indie rock oriented. So I don't. It's not. There's not really a house show scene for experimental stuff right now.
How would you like actually define? I know it's like definitions are kind of interesting concept as far as defining experimentation, but how would you like separate that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In some ways, it's not always like an accurate label, because I mentioned Jack Wright before. I remember him saying one time, like, don't call what I'm doing experimental. Like, I know exactly what I'm doing. You know, like,
Yeah.
this is not an experiment, which I can appreciate. Whereas, like, my approach in playing is much more like experimental, and I don't pretend to know exactly what I'm doing or like exactly necessarily what's going to happen if when I hit this thing or whatever, you know.
Do you ever like? Does it? It must take courage then to kind of just go with it without knowing. Is that
Yeah.
a kind of comfort that you developed with time, or?
I mean, it's interesting because I'm not like I'm not a socially courageous person, but I do find that like the space there's a space that opens up for me playing music that allows, I don't know, it's like the communicating myself like non-verbally feels like it comes more naturally or easily or something. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I used to feel, I guess occasionally I feel nervous before I perform, but not really anymore. Sometimes afterwards I'm like, oh, maybe that was like, maybe I should have been nervous about doing that or whatever, you know, in front of people. But I think, like, yeah, what is experimental? I mean, it's sort of like a catch-all for like, things that like not things that are out of the mainstream, or like Yeah. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know that it has a super meaningful function as a term. You know what I mean? Because some
So how
people.
would you? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people. I think something that is interesting about Rhizome that I've heard a number of people say is that they feel comfortable experimenting here in a way that in like a bigger or like less relaxed kind of space, they feel a need to like present a more polished presentation or whatever, but something about the vibe and the space and the community here just like lends itself to just feeling a little more open and free with about.
Tell me a little more about. I'm really interested in this concept because I feel this way at Rhizome also, but just from your own standpoint, what makes the space feel kind of open and safe in that way?
I don't know. I mean, I think the house, like the fact that it is in a house, maybe it has something to do with it. Like it's like rather than feeling like you're walking into a performance venue, it feels like you're walking into someone's home, or you know, not exactly, but there's like just that the associations with being in a home, I think, are there for people. And the fact that, you know, there's not really a stage. It's like performers and audience are just like there in the same space and kind of more on a even plane or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you perceive the relationship between the audience and the performers at Rhizome?
You know, I guess it depends. Maybe it depends on the event, but maybe there's more flexibility. It's like it's more up to the performer about like how they want the relationship to be. If they want to feel kind of set apart, then they can make that happen. But also if they want to engage in a more like sort of give and take kind of way, that's there if they want it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Can you just recall a memorable experience that happened to you in this house? You can take a minute.
Yeah.
Think it through. No worries, no rush.
I mean, you know, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Tell me a lot.
I mean, thinking about that first show, Novella was here, and like during the, I think it was Nate Scheibel and maybe it was, I don't know. I can't remember who else was playing. Maybe Gary Rouser, the cellist, and then Sarah Schaefer and Ken Mannheimer were dancing, and we were sitting on, lots of people were sitting on the floor. Novella and I were sitting on the floor kind of close to the area where they were moving, and like towards the end of the set, she just like, Sarah was like on the floor kind of like creeping along, and Novella just like went out there with her, you know.
Yeah.
And sort of finished the set with them, which you know, she still remembers it, and I like it's, I don't know, I guess that speaks a little bit to like the possibilities, at least in like the kind of performer audience vibe being blurred, and yeah. I mean, we used to have this program called Unthings, which was like once a week for homeschooled kids, like 3 or 4 hours, and we would rotate the facilitators, but I facilitated it sometimes, and I don't know, I had some great things happen in those sessions. Like we built some xylophones and like tuned them to we decided we were going to learn this. I brought in like a bunch of recordings of different percussion music and played them, and we chose one to try to learn, which was this gamelan piece that was like seemed relatively simple, and so we like tuned all these xylophones to the right scale to play this piece, and a couple kids made these bamboo flutes, and we tried to tune those, you know.
What age groups are we talking?
This was like 12, 13, 14-year-olds. But Novella was also here with me. Like she was participating when so this was a few years ago. Yeah, I have fond memories of like all just that process, and I don't know. It's hard to like pick out memories.
You've been doing it for the past hour and a half?
Yeah.
It's all memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the more boring stuff, like about the
Okay.
financials of how spaces like this are run, whether or not they get support, institutional, government.
Okay.
What it is and what the dream is.
Okay. I mean, so our income comes from event revenues, which we for typical events we keep 20% of the income, and we pass along 80% to the artists. And we have a monthly membership program, so people, I think we have over 200 people who give from $5 to $20 a month. We have gotten some grants. Thank you, Humanities DC. But not a lot. We have not. We got a grant from the city of Tacoma Park to even though we're outside of the city of Tacoma Park, they gave us a grant to kind of get started, which was really huge for us. But otherwise, we have not gotten any kind of operating support. We've just gotten some project grants to do a small festival or something like that.
So how are the operations run then?
So yeah, it's donations and events, and then lots of volunteer hours. So I'm paid. I'm the only person who is paid. Lots of people volunteer. I think for the amount of work that I do, I also have to consider some of my time, volunteer time too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our expenses are relatively low. It's rent and utilities and my salary. Those are basically our expenses. But we've made it so far. It's not if we could get even $20,000 a year of operational support or something like that, it would go a long way to making things feel a little more sustainable. But yeah, I don't know if I have I given you a clear enough picture.
I think so. Hello. No, it's okay. We have maybe 15 minutes or something more to go. This sound bites are just a part of it at this point.
Roll with it, right, Layne?
Rolling with it.
All right, I'm gonna run and get a coffee now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good for finances. So the dream is to have $20,000.
Well, I mean, more would be better. But,
Oh my
yeah, I
God,
mean,
yeah.
If we could pay someone else to do some stuff,
Some of the work that you're doing
then that would
all
be
the time,
fantastic.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the indoor-outdoor space that this particular house has.
Sure.
And whether just availability of spaces like that in the district and what that means for experimental, free, non-commercial, whatever you want to call it, for this arts community.
Yeah, so we have a big yard, which, before the pandemic, we mostly used as a parking lot. And last fall, we built a small stage, and that we've been doing outdoor programming. We stopped in the winter, but through the fall and now the spring and summer, we have. It's been fantastic to be able to have people come and share their music, and we've had some workshops outside as well. Yeah, so having the outdoor space has allowed us to have do what we do during the pandemic. We're going to meet. The board is meeting this week to talk about when to transition back to indoor events. As of June 11th, it will be legal for us in DC to start doing indoor events again, but my expectation is that we will not be ready to do that for a few more months yet. What's that? Yeah, just, I don't know. It doesn't seem like people are ready to be crammed together in a space, right now. And it also, like, to me, I think a lot of, like, it's been, I love having the shows outside. In the heat of the summer, it might be a little tougher, but it's I want to keep doing stuff outside. Even when we don't have to. For one thing, we can have more people. We can have bigger events. So yeah, it's been huge having this outdoor space. It is, in looking for new spaces, it is. Sorry, I just got distracted by the song that's about to play.
Let me go back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna, like, this space has been perfect, and it's gonna be challenging, to say the least, to find something else remotely as good. Yeah, there's just not, like, DC is so crowded. There's not space, and especially, sometimes we do make noise, so it's like being in a purely residential zone where there might be a similar kind of space just doesn't seem viable.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that might mean that Rhizome might have to leave DC?
Yes. Yeah, in Hyattsville or over in that area, there is more space, and it's cheaper. So
More like indoor or outdoor kind of spaces.
Yeah, and I mean, even, I don't know, even finding any space in DC seems challenging at the moment, but
let's see. How has your time at Rhizome shaped you as a person and a community member and an artist in this past? Yeah.
Well, I was reflecting the other day that it had sort of long been a dream of mine. Like, a house full of art is like kind of been a dream of mine for a long time, and to be able to, like, be able to make that happen feels really special. And to just, like, be around and in communication with, and, like, collaboration with so many different artists doing so many different amazing things is, I feel really lucky, and, like, you know, it's inspiring. It's hard to say like exactly how in what ways I've been inspired or but just
You probably know more people now that are in this community.
for sure.
More
Yeah.
collaborators.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right, like it's really cool to, like, the range of people that I get to work with, you know, from like, I don't know, we just did an exhibit of quilts that someone had submitted to our open call, and like she graduated from undergrad like during her exhibition, so you know it was like the first time she's shown her work in a public setting, and you know, just like it's full of energy and hope, and then you know, a lot of people come, like a lot of musicians come through here who are, you know, world renowned masters of their craft, and like to get to work with them and like do the sound for them and hopefully not fuck up the sound for them, right? You know, like, I don't know, it's just cool to it feels, personally, it's inspiring to work with such a wide range of people, and also I think just as a community space to be able to be open to such a wide range of people at so many different points in on their life paths, and yeah.
Yeah. What's next for Rhizome?
We'll see what's next. It's been hard lately to think about having to leave this space, but we will find a new one, and
The community exists outside of the physical house?
the community exists outside of the house.
What's the glue?
What's the glue? You know, I don't know. Just the people themselves, I think, and like the desire to partake in experiences together that are like that are outside of the kind of norms of daily life, and what you might find anywhere else.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'm
Yeah,
good. Is
let's-
there anything that I didn't ask? Is there anything you want to add?
No.